What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing timing cover gaskets on a 2002 X5 with an M62 tu. I did the timing chain on it originally, but the customer did not get new gaskets, and now the coolant is mixing with the oil. So we're going to go back in, we're going to replace the timing cover gaskets, make sure all that's good before we start looking at other things, because I want to make sure what I did is sealed properly before I blame something else. So we're going to go start on that, get it taken apart. It's probably going to rain, so we're going to have to work quickly, so I'm not going to be able to record everything, but let's get straight to it. First thing first, we're going to remove this, remove our air box, remove our air hose, all that good jazz. Then we're going to then we'll move on to the next steps. But first we're going to get rid of this and our air hose. There you go, air box and filter and all that removed. Now we're going to start working on, we're going to take that out, and we're going to start working on the fuel rail and the brackets and all that stuff, so we can get our valve covers off. So let's get that out, and then we'll go to our fuel rails and our brackets. Boom, that's out. Now we're going to do our fuel rails and all these brackets, and then we're going to go after our valve covers. So fuel rails, pop our injectors up and out, and then we'll go after the valve covers. There you go, that's all disconnected. We popped this up out of there so we can get our injectors loose and everything, and then we'll be able to move it side to side so we can take our valve covers off. All right, so with those covers off, we're going to take out our ignition coils, and then we'll be able to remove that and lift it up higher. That way we can take our valve covers loose. So ignition coils out in 3, 2, 1. Ignition coils out. Now we'll go to our valve covers, just 10 millimeters all the way around. Then we'll pop those out, and then we'll drain our coolant and oil, and we'll take our hoses off. So let's get these valve covers off. Valve covers off. Now we're going to drain the coolant and the oil, and then we'll remove this fan, the radiator, all these hoses, and then we'll be able to start taking the front cover apart. Coolant's currently draining. Now I'm going to go after all these hoses, and then our fan and our radiator. 3, 2, 1. Hose is off. Now we're going to get our fan, and then this will come right up and out. I hook it there, and then our fan, this will be out of the way. Take off that hose, and it'll be pretty much smooth sailing after that. Radiator's out, hoses are all out. Now it's just pulleys, tensioners, then timing cover, and all these sensors and all that good jazz, and then your dipstick as well, but we're almost there. Battery disconnector, we're going to take all the alternator out, all these pulleys loose, get that belt off, get that tensioner off and this tensioner off, water pump pulley off, and this EGR thing, and then we'll probably be done for tonight. And then tomorrow we'll do this pulley, put our cam blocks on, all that stuff. But let's get these pulleys off. With all those pulleys and tensioners out of the way, we're going to grab this water pump, snatch it off there. There's 2 bolts we got to take loose on that power steering pump, and then there's a nut on the back side that'll come off when the lower timing comes off. That's how you disconnect that. And then we got our dipstick. There's a bolt on the bottom that holds a little plate on it. You have to get that out, as well as that bolt right there. But let's get this water pump off. As you see, we went ahead and took the crank pulley off, took the water pump off. Our alternator's out. Got to knock those 2 nuts, those bolts loose down there on the power steering pump. And then get our dipstick out. And then we will be ready to set this to TDC. Make sure our cam lock blocks go in, make sure our crank pin goes in, get that loose. And then once all that's set up, we'll be able to take everything else loose. I just don't want the timing to go out because I've already went through the effort of timing everything, so we're just gonna set it up to be in time, take it all apart, redo it. Really, as long as our timing chain doesn't move once we take our tensioner loose, we don't have to retime it because that's already set up. We just need to replace those gaskets that I didn't replace. Fun stuff. Gotta love doing jobs twice. All right, We got our engine at top dead center here. If you look back here, you see the numbers on each cam. They should be facing upwards. All the cams. Then you can install your locking pin and your cam lock blocks and all that good jazz. So we're gonna go ahead and install those. And this hole right here is where the crank pin goes. And it slides into a hole on the flywheel. And then it will not allow the crank to spin at all. So if you can spin the crank over, it's not in the hole. That's how you know if you got it or not. Don't know if you can see that in there. But it slides into a hole, and then you can't move your crankshaft at all. And then the numbers on the camshafts should be facing upwards. That's that top dead center compression. That's how you know you got it in the right place. You can't have it 360 out, so be careful. Got our cam lock blocks on both sides. I'm using the German Auto Solutions one. And then to get this bolt loose, you either have to use an impact, which is why I removed the radiator, or use an impact, get a spare crankshaft locking pin, put it in there and use that to break that loose. But they also make a tool that'll go on this and hold this while you break that loose. Those are your two options. I recommend a spare locking pin because it will bend the pin and that can make your timing be slightly out. That's why I have a spare one for breaking that loose and then one that's actually straight for putting the engine in time. So now what we're going to do is we're going to remove our dipstick. There's a bolt on the bottom next to the oil pan that holds a little metal plate on it. You got to take that off, and then this bolt up here, and then you can wiggle that out. And then we'll be able to take that off, our crank bolt and all that good jazz. And then we can take our timing covers off, and then we can take our oil pan off, clean everything out, and then we'll put it all back together. Like I said, I'm just replacing timing cover gaskets on this, but I will go over some of the timing procedure while I'm doing it. So let's get the dipstick out. There we go, dipstick's out. It's laying up there. You'll have an O-ring on the bottom of it, and then this is that nut and that pawl. It's a 10mm nut, but that's all you need. Now we'll go after the timing cover. We gotta get the two power steering pump bolts out. They're 13s. There'll be one on the back side you have to take out. You gotta take your tensioner loose on this side, a whole bunch of 10s, whole bunch of 10s. Take these seals out around here, and then there's some 10s around the front of the upper oil pan you gotta take out to get that lower timing cover off. But we'll go ahead and get our timing covers off, so let's go ahead and do it. We got our upper timing covers removed and our Jesus bolt removed. Now we're going to get all the bolts for the lower timing cover off, but while we're down there, we're also going to go ahead and drop the oil pan. So let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, as you can see, we have all the timing covers off now. We already dropped the oil pan. I'm going to brake clean everything and flush it out the oil pan. That way I can get rid of all the bad oil. But here's where we get to the point if you were timing. If you were timing, you need to also take these out. You'll take these nuts loose. They're left-handed threads. You'll take these bolts loose, they're left-handed threads, and then you'll be able to take this collar off and you'll be able to rotate this vanos on both sides. And then if you have the German Auto Solutions kit, which I will link to the instructions below, you would install this and you would install this. This one goes on driver's side, this one goes on passenger side, the other one goes on the passenger side, but they help line up that plate, which is the plate that the sensors read when this is spinning. They read this plate. You turn this all the way counterclockwise, then you'll line up this plate and you'll tighten everything down after you replace your chain and everything. You replace your guides, all that good jazz. I'll leave a link below to a really good video on it that goes more in depth about the timing, but that's the gist. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean everything out and then we're gonna go back together with it. Got our new gaskets on there, everything back on. You'll want to zip tie that tensioner together so that you can put the timing cover back on. But you'll have to hold the tensioner when you actually go to put that upper timing cover back on. But we're gonna keep you on back together with everything, and then you should be good to go. All right, upper timing cover is back on, tensioner's back in place. Now we're just gonna go back together with everything, and I will see you all when this car is finished. I forgot to mention, when you take your cam lock blocks off, this intake cam will actually move. It's fine. It's supposed to move. It's part of the Vanos. It's adjustable. So that one will move. These two shouldn't, and this one shouldn't. You'll be good to go. All right, we're all back together. I'm gonna go ahead and start it, make sure it runs. You should be good to go. On your first start, whenever you do a timing chain or something, it'll probably rattle. You can pull the, on BMWs, you can pull the fuel pump fuse, crank the engine over, and then it'll void that. Other cars, you can hold the gas down all the way, the throttle pedal, and it'll put it in a clear flood mode and allow it to crank over without injecting any gas. But you can start it and just let it rattle and go away. It's fine. I wouldn't say it's the best, but you can do it. So let's go ahead and start it. So you hear that rattle, and then it goes away.